CTE and Career and Pathways Coordinator, Director, and from Region One. And this is part of the tri-agency that we put together with several industries. And this is a collaborative effort between these three agencies to put together those needs there are in certain areas. And transportation is one of those needs. Another areas is law enforcement, education, health science. Industries are growing tremendously throughout the whole region. So we want to ensure that we have the right pathways and the right preparation for our students as they get into the workforce. Right, that's the main idea. And so we put this together. Basically, Lisa it back in the back, but she put this together for y'all to make sure that we have that connection between yourselves, industry, and ensure that IHEs what they're going to have for you and our students. So basically, throughout the day, they're going to have where you're going to have opportunities to talk with industry, to talk with the IHEs, so you can take that information back to your students and make sure they're prepared as they go on into the workforce and in transportation. Now, transportation is one of the 14 clusters that have been identified by the state of Texas that is the growth that's coming down between 2030 and beyond, right? So transportation is going to be huge. And just this morning, I was on my balcony. I was watching all the traffic coming in from Laredo. I mean, back to back. It's and people just crossing. So that's here to stay. So it's important that we prepare our students for that industry. And I was talking to a couple of individuals that say, yes, our students need to know that, need to know where the jobs are. And you all are a big part of that. So as part of the transportation cluster, we have here today, we have the distribution, logistics, and warehousing. That's what we're going to be covering today. But it's part of several programs of study that they offer in transportation. And I kind of wanted to go over a little bit about, I don't know if y'all have seen the framework. Have everybody seen the framework? You should be part of this in your districts. You should be part of this because you select the courses that the students will take, right? So we have level 1 courses, level 2, level 3, level 4. Now, you don't have to select all the courses. You select as an instructor, you say, okay, we're going to teach what's level 1 course, and then the next one, the level 2, the level 3, and the level 4. Because what is it that we want for the students to do? We want them to be what? If they take all the courses, completers, right? They have to be a completer. They have to take all 4 courses or 3 courses because they have to have at least 4 credits. It can be 3 courses, but they have to equal 4 credits. So many of these courses, you might have a level 1, a level 2, then they may have a level 3 or 4 course. It might be a 2-credit course that they'll complete the completer status, right? So, and one thing that we've been talking about today is what is your line certifications? What is the IBC that the student needs to have? And basically, you all have 2 IBCs. It's your industrial technology maintenance and your certified logistic technician. Those are the certificates that your students should be able to obtain once they get through the level 3 or level 4 course. Are y'all providing those certificates? Yes? Okay, they should be going to that. That's your completer status because that'll give you for accountability and outcomes for outcomes bonus as well. You can know it's money that you can get back to reinvest into your programs. So one thing, and I'm gonna give you kind of a little bit of an update, what's coming down the line. Y'all heard about tiers. Hope y'all already heard about a tier. That's gonna be implemented in 27, 28. So a tier, they identify, and the new list just came out. 25 to 2030 list just came out. The 2 industry certifications on the list are the ones on the bottom. And we want to push for either a tier 1 or a tier 2. Because the industry is saying these are the certificates that they will be industry ready. They're ready to come into the workforce for us in transportation. We don't want tier 3 certificates. We still may transition now the next couple of years, but we need to transition out of tier 3s and go to tier 1, tier 2 certificates. Now, the good thing is with transportation, if you look at industrial technology, maintenance, and process and control systems, it's a tier 2. So we're good. If your students get that certificate, they got the tier 2 certificate, which is good. Or you can offer the certified logistic technician, which is also a tier 2. If you offer either one of those, we have met that standard with the tiers. And that's a good thing because you all have to worry about only those 2 certificates. There's some other program of study that offer more certificates. Some are tier 1s, tier 2, tier 3s. So the goal, or we want to project and do, be proactive and talking to districts, start transitioning from your tier three IBCs to tier ones or twos. Because tier three is not going to help you very much. There's going to be a certain percentage. So your tier one, tier two certificates are industry based. And you said these are certificates that are going to be important for students to have as they go into industry. Okay. So this is the back of the form. And same thing, you have the level one, level two courses that we can offer. This kind of gives you the breakdown of whether it's prerequisite or core requisite. Now these forms are all editable. They're all editable. So you got to make sure that you put only the courses that you offer. So let's say I see go to a high school, and level one, they offer the principal transportation systems, right? They do not offer principal distribution. So you will remove that. Because the ones that see this is the parents and the students. So if I'm a parent and you give me this list, I assume that you offer all these courses. And sometimes as administrators and instructors, you have to decide, okay, which courses can I offer that will lead to the certificate, you'll be a completer, but also we have the correct materials, facilities, and the instructor, right? So here, those are editable. So if you look at level four, how many courses you can offer? In reality, how many you need to offer? Well, it depends. If you have a level one, level two, that's 2 credits. So over here, if they're 2 credit course, if you look at the 2 credits, then they complete the 4. They only need 4 credits total. Okay. Have you all seen this before? Yes? Okay. You should, if you're not part of the meetings with this, you need to be. Because you're all in the front lines. You're the ones that you're the knows what material you need to teach and what your background knowledge is. Okay. For accountability, and I'm only going to look at the career part of it. Only the career part. In order to meet the criteria for accountability of a student, the student must earn an industry-based certification and the certificate that aligns with that program of study. So, for example, I'm doing law enforcement, but then you give me a welding certificate. Do they align? They don't align. You got to make sure they're part of that program of study that leads to the certificate. Graduates with a completed IEP and workforce readiness, they have our special needs kids. There's a way that we can get them workforce ready, but it has to be part of the ARD. The ARD has to make a decision, what are the skills that students that have can be workforce ready. Okay, those are your special needs students. And you all might be part of those committees. I'm gonna ask you, what skills does a student need to reach to be able to be a completer? And also a graduate with an advanced diploma and receive special education services, or earn a level 1, level 2 certificate. No, don't confuse the level 1, level 2 certificates with IBCs. Level 1, level 2 certificates are provided by Laredo College, your IHEs. They're a little different. They're by hours. And some of y'all offer dual enrollment programs. This is where that comes from. Okay. But at the high school level, we're looking at IBCs. That's one portion. So the class of 26, your current class right now, they earn an IBC list from either the 22-25 list, which is the last year you can use that list, or your 25-20-30 list, which just came out on October 31st. So we talked about those two certificates y'all offer. They're on that list, and they're tier 2 certificates. So those ones you need to offer your students. Plus, they have to be a completer. Okay? And what's a completer? Student completing three or more courses with 4 more credits. Okay? Any questions, guys? Let me know. If I go too fast, let me know. So then we look at the outcomes bonus. Outcomes money is money that can come back to your district and put back into your programs. How many need supplies, materials, right? Current things that you need to make sure they relate to industry. You might have a 30-year-old machine that's no longer relevant to what they're using in the industry, right? So how do you get some of that money back? You do it through outcomes bonus. If you look at career ready, it's the same thing. Earn an industry-based certification or level 1, level 2, immediately follow high school. They have up to August 31st to receive it. But does it say anything about being a completer? As long as they get the IBC. Now, we want our students to be completers. But if they earn an IBC, that will get you outcomes bonus. But if you look right above, they have to have at least TSI, ACT, or SAT. So once your students get these certificates, do they have a TSI? That's what we need to push our students to have. You know, you got the IBC, I need you to work on your TSI before they graduate. Because that'll give you money back to your district. And there's always a 2-year lag on that. But it goes back and you can use it, well, it's up to your district, right? But I would fight for that money because if you're providing these industry-based certifications to your students, some of that money can go back into your programs. Okay. And I'm letting you aware so that way you can go, hey, do we get any outcomes bonus? How much do we get? Okay. And get that money back for you guys. So just a quick overview of what's coming down the line. The most important thing is that the tiers. The good thing is about the tiers in the transportation, you already have the tier 2 certificates. You're already good. So long as you have those 2 certificates, you'll be in the right track. Okay. Any questions in reference to what I covered over? Okay. Thank you for being here. There's an opportunity to network also because sometimes as a teacher, you don't get to talk to somebody from another district. And I have the opportunity to collaborate and network and talk to each other, get the information, contact information, and all that. Okay. Like I said, we're also going to have industry here as well. Talk to industry leaders. What does the future look like for the students in this particular area that are going into this industry? What am I going to have to let them know about? That's your opportunity to ask questions and be able to collaborate as well. Okay. So thank you for being here. Appreciate it. We have some sweetbread coming, I hope. Yeah, it's on its way. So I heard some grumbles. But we're excited to be here. Glad y'all can make it. Hopefully we can do this this year and just continue to expand. We'll make sure these programs are the ones that we give back to the students, make sure that they are prepared for that future. And the future's here in Laredo, huge. And not just here, throughout the whole state. So the opportunities are there for our students. So thank you very much, and I'll pass it over to Lisette. And welcome again. Thank you.
I think he's gonna use yes, mistress. And next up, I want to present thankful to Laredo College. They're the ones that are hosting this event for us for the venue. So I want to thank them for the opportunity. We wanted to make sure that we hosted it here because this is our global center. And I want people to know where the hub is, where the information is coming from. So, oh, the prayers are praying? Oh, good.
I think I saw it this morning.
Do a video for that photo radio shared with us. I'll see after the radio starts this of the world, but yes, we are a very important part of international trade for the U.S. So just go ahead and sit back. There's a little music, but I don't think it's necessary. Just it goes through all the ports and all the movement we have here in Laredo. it's very impressive to see all the what we have to offer here in Laredo as far as trade. I mean, we see it, we live it every day. We see the traffic, we see the trucks on the highways, and all that money coming through Laredo gives also presents opportunities for our community and for our students. First of all, I'd just like to welcome you all to Laredo College. I am the my name is Joey Solis. I am the chairperson for the Global Logistics Center, and our goal here is to get our students prepared to enter the workforce with logistics, transportation, and as well as customs brokerage. And I'm just going to be going over, we do have our Dr. Heriberto Hernandez. He's our associate provost. He's also our acting dean. At the moment, Dr. Horacio Salinas has taken on new responsibilities. As I already told you, my name is Jose Solis. Everybody knows me by Joey, Global Logistics chairperson. Claudia Sainz, she's here with us. She's our program coordinator, is also instructor. We're both instructor. We have courses. And Catherine Cuellar is our student success specialist. I still have Bianca in there, but she's no longer with us. I forgot to remove her from the list. But she went out and got us a new position at another place of employment. We also have adjuncts that also teach courses in the evenings and throughout the day. Just a little, they're all licensed customs brokers. I myself am also a licensed customs broker. So we do have that experience of work, and we try to convey our experiences with our students and show our knowledge and pass it on to them so they can get ready for when they go into the workforce. This is some information that was shared with us through Region One. We attended several meetings with them in the past year, and the top technical careers in education in South Texas, as we all know, is education. All the ISDs, they're a huge employer of in our area, healthcare as well, and of course transportation logistics. We just talked about how we see the boom. We see all the buildings that are being put up in 35. They're just building warehouses and warehouses, and this is just an indication of what's to come and how it's going to continue expanding in the future. And another information that we got from Region One, just industry characteristics, the top growing industries in workforce. As you can see, at top, transportation, warehousing is just booming. And then of course followed by healthcare and social assistance, and government, which are the ISDs, and of course the local municipalities. So here in our program, we offer 3 awards. We have our Certificate 1, which consists of 5 courses. Certificate 2, it's stackable. Once you finish your Certificate 1, you continue on to your Certificate 2, which is 6 courses, and then we have our Associates of Applied Arts. It's Associates in Applied Science, 8 courses with 23 semester credit hours. So I'm going to go over a little bit, just an overview of what we go over in our courses, what our students take. First semester, this is done in 1 semester. They can get their Certificate 1. They have 5 classes. We have the Introduction to Business Logistics, and that is our CLA, our Certified Logistics Associate course. That's where we teach the certification, where students are going to have the opportunity to test and challenge to get their certification as a Certified Logistics Associate. And that's just basically an introduction to logistics. A lot of the students we see coming into our classes have no idea of what logistics is. They have no idea what Laredo does, how important they are to the U.S. economy. So that's where they learn everything about the modes of transportation, the different types of warehouses, and it's just very fundamental knowledge. Second class is the Principle of Exports. This is where we dive into a little bit about the procedures, regulations, with regards to exports out of the U.S. into Mexico or other parts of the world. So here we do teach them regulations. We do have software that we show them how to input data, so we can do the export information, as we call them back in the day, shippers export declarations. So they do get that hands-on experience. A lot of our classes are just hands-on, working with programs to get them ready to go into the workforce. The same thing with principles of imports. This time we're just dealing with stuff coming into the U.S. And the same thing, we teach them the procedures. We go over the documentation needed, and then as well the software that's needed to be able to transmit an entry and get it across and get it into the U.S. Our special topics in international business focuses on U.S. tariffs, on the classification, their harmonized system. And as everybody knows, that's something that's a hot topic in the news. Every day we hear tariffs. Story Nichols here is also a customs broker, and she knows that a year ago today was just so much easier, and now it's like it's very complex. It's just mind-boggling how complex it's gotten to for tariffs. What used to be just one single couple of steps now it takes like 10 or 15 steps or more just to be able to classify a product and make sure you're in compliance, paying your duties. So that class we teach them, the fundamentals, how to get in, how to read the tariff, the certain columns, and how to assess duties and calculate duties. And then the LMGT 1323 is our domestic international transportation course. That one we just go over the what it says, right? The trucking industry. We go over the documents, the bill of ladings, the weight limits, um, the loading practices, as well as customer service and dealing with carriers and transportation. Does anybody have any questions? And at any time, just you can chime in and out. No. All right. So moving on, and going back to the certificate one, I think it's really well put because this gives a student a really good foundation to be able to already start working at a forwarding agency or a customs broker, because they're going to have at least the foundational knowledge of exports. EEI. What do you need to do for an EEI? What are the fields that you need to fill out? What information do you need to be able to? You need to complete an EEI, which is an electronic export information, as well as principal of imports. They're going to have that idea of what is a 3461, what is an entry, what is a pre-file, what is a 7501, what are the fields that are involved. So, they have a good foundation knowledge to be able to start going into a workforce and not have to learn everything from scratch. And it's also at a advantage for employers because they don't have to spend so much time training them and getting them familiar with the terms and the procedures. So I think this is a certificate one is an excellent. It's got its teeth. The students can go into the workforce already well prepared. Certificate two is the second semester. They'll finish it another semester. We start off with our warehouse and distribution center management. This is where we teach our CLT, which is a certified logistics technician certificate. We're going to give the students the opportunity to challenge the test once they finish the course. And this one's also our capstone. This is where we're going to integrate what they've learned in certificate one with regards to exports and imports, as well as classification. And we're going to do like a simulation lab in this course. We have a small warehouse in the back, and we're going to have simulated shipments where they have to receive a pallet, prepare the paperwork, and then depending on what the shipment is, either export or import, then they prepare the documents for either export or import. But it's going to be more like a simulated lab type of environment. And that we just started the semester. It's still work in process, but it's going to be exciting once we get it fully on board. International e-commerce systems just goes over the e-commerce part of trade. What are the regulations? What do they need? And as well as we cover the topics with the systems used in customs, the ACE, the ABI, just to get a little more knowledge on that. And then our 1493 special topics, that's covers CTPAT, also very important here in the trade, which deals with supply chain security. We go over their requirements, the different types of criteria for each different type of a partner, which should be transportation, broker, warehousing. So that's also very important. And then the summer courses, we have intercultural management, which is just basically, introducing students to different types of cultures in management. We have them, just different types of people that have to deal with in work. And then contemporary logistics issues, that's, we have them do case studies, look at and assess issues in logistics, like when we had that in Baltimore where they ran into that bridge, what things could have been differently when we had our bridges shut down for a couple of days because of the storm we had back in 2017. How it impacts the industry, things that could be done, how do they mitigate, how do they prepare for such things like that. So that's basically more like a little study, and they do a lot of that type of work in that class. And just to keep in mind that these two certificates, 1 and 2, no TSI is required. Those students that aren't TSI ready are able to take, their certificate 1 and 2 and get their 1-year certificate with us. Any questions? Yes, sir. Um, most of the positions that the students get into with their certificate one would be like entry writer positions, customer service representatives. Um, so from there, they just doing basically inputting data and preparing the documents to get the shipments across the board. As well as forwarding agencies, well, they'll get there to do the shipping receiving part of it, as well as preparing documents for export. Any questions? All right. So like I said, certificate 1, 2, no TSI is required. The students can come in here and take it, and once they're done, they can move on to their AAS, which will cover the more of the core classes, your Englishes, your histories. And here we do have 2 courses that are still part of our department, which is our cooperative education. This is where they do like their internship. We send out students to local companies that have agreements with us to take them in for about 6, 7 weeks and actually have them, apply what they learned here in an actual workforce setting. I know Elko's here, representative from Elko. They've been excellent in welcoming our students to their business and some students, and we always tell them, this is part of your process. How well you do there is, there's an opportunity for an employment there. If they really like the way you work and the way what you're doing in the office, it might turn into an opportunity for employment. And we had students where after they're done with their internship, they get extended employment and they start working there. And then the 2345, that's our import customs regulations. That's a review of the 19 CFR, which is for those that want to continue, maybe challenge the customs broker exam. We go over, the questions, how to read them, how to prepare for the exam, how to recognize and use the tools that are allowed for the customs broker exam, which is the 19 CFR, the tariff classification, and any other material that we give them there to help them prepare and hopefully challenge that exam and get their license. And then, of course, English, and then the other courses are just core courses to get their associates. Total credit hours, 60 credit hours for the associate's degree. And I want to point out that we also have a pathway to TAMIU. There's something we're also pushing our students. There's a pathway to the Bachelor's of Applied Arts and Science at TAMIU. There, they take 21 of our credit hours that are departmental program, our courses, the import-export, the classification, the logistics. They'll take 21 semester credit hours and apply to the BAAS at TAMIU. And also with the core classes, your English, histories, math, and they'll take credit for those. So that gives them a little bit of help as far as when they continue on to university level education. And I think that's great because those that continue, they can go on and get up and they can get those higher positions. So there's always that option. And we're looking, we're working with this to see how we can better improve this and give them more opportunities to continue on to the university level. So like I said, we do have the capstone experience for each certificate level. For each level of our awards, certificate 1, we want to have like an exit exam where we give the students a little test to make sure that they understand everything in certificate 1 courses, imports, exports, classification. And they'll get like a little designation, like a little badge. They completed their I don't know what we're calling it, Ms. Science, what were we calling or like the badge, like a badge, right? We want to give them like a little award designation that they completed. They passed their comprehensive exam for certificate 1. Certificate 2 will be the experiential learning simulation lab. That will also be like their test to get another badge. And then with the capstone for the associates is, of course, the internship capstone, the cooperative education course. Like I said, we do use software in our classes, in our courses. Right now we have EMEXOL software in our courses. We also have Trade Technology Systems, which are ABI, automated broker interface systems that let our students transmit data to get either for imports or for exports. So that prepares them. And just so you know, those that aren't in the industry, ABI software systems like this, interfaces, there's several options out there, but pretty much they all have the same data that they're going to be inputting. So once they're familiar with this, at least they get another software, it won't take them long to learn what they need to input into that other system. And then we also have student participation. We have monthly trade meetings that we attend to. LUSBA has their meetings here at LC. And we take our students so they can start seeing how the interaction between your private companies and your governments work together to make everything better for our community. We have facility visits where they go see what they're learning in class, to see it in real time and in real life. And we also have workshop seminars that our students have access to with our cooperation with LUSBA and with Alpha. And they come in here and they also get the opportunity to learn from those workshops. Some of these pictures are from when we go visit the facilities at the World Trade Bridge. This is from the Broker Association broker meetings. And, this is a great experience for them. They get out there, they because a lot of these kids are very timid, they're very shy, but, so the more experiences we give them, the more they get to grow as personal, and they get a little more confidence. We also have a student organization. We have our logistics and distribution organization. They've been doing excellent. They participate in our school-wide events, Fun Fest, Fall Fest. They raise money. They sell items at those to raise money. And at the end of the year, I think they want to take a trip. I think right now that one that they're looking at is Houston. They want to go to the port, or they want to go visit maybe Tesla or the Toyota plant. So they're working on that. Hopefully we can make it happen. And that's at the end of the year. So it's great that they're doing that. And they also, creates camaraderie. They get to know each other well. They get to work with each other. Student-led. So they have to plan all these things. Although sometimes they drop the ball, but we're there to push them and help them all, as much as we can. And we also have events. Since we're a global logistics center, we have events. We have our logistic lecture speaker series. We will be having one in February. We're inviting Mr. Luca Winters from Cunanego. He's going to talk about the automotive logistics supply chain and how it's being affected with all the new trade policies. And previously, this is our fourth one. We have one twice a semester. We already had Diana Ruler. She's a ABI software programmer, and she's also a broker. Daniel Covarrubias, of course, everybody knows who Daniel Covarrubias is, expert in international trade. And the last one, we have David Gonzalez from CVP, Agriculture. He was a blast. He had a lot of fun in his presentation. So, of course, this is open to the public. We'll send out invitations to everybody, and hopefully, we'll get here a good turnout so we can hear what Mr. Luca Winters has to say as far as automotive and supply chain goes. So our next steps in logistics collaboration, we're looking at summer internship programs to get the students out there while they're off on break, because sometimes, they come back and they seem to have forgot everything that they learned, before they went to summer break. We do have a paid internship with Pascal Logistics. We want to look at shadowing, so we can send students with brokers, with freight forwarders, so they can maybe just follow them and see what their day is like and learn through observation. And then they can report back to us. And of course, our continuing education partners, we're working with the continuing education with their CLA, CLT programs, so they can get credit here in our courses and hopefully continue and get their associates or their certificate too here with us in Laredo College. Any questions? So again, thank you. These are our email addresses. If you want to contact us, hopefully we can collaborate, start something. We want to get into the ISDs. We want to get in our program right now. We only have one at United South, which is our magnet program. But we are interested in getting more involved with Laredo ISD. I know Ms. Kais is here. We really want to talk to you about getting our program out there. I know it takes a little while, but we need to get the ball rolling. We can start offering with those kids and get them prepared. This is a survey. Don't worry about this. This was from our last Thank you. Thank you for uh, for your time, and I look forward to speaking to each one. If any is interested, please come look for myself, Joyce Solis, Miss Claudia Science, and we could, see if we can work something out. Keep in touch and work something out for the students. Thank you.
And not to worry, coffee and sweet bread is on their way. This is the presentation that we just had. Okay, just so events like this that are happening, it comes through our tri-agency initiative that the governor has awarded us for our area, which is Webb, Jim Hogg, and Zapata County. So this one is just a QR code if you want more information on it, but that is the one that we have, the Tri-Agency Workforce Initiative. And if they ever ask you when you're ever submitting grants, know that you're WDA 21 for your workforce. Now this one, this is just our priorities, our pathways. Like today, we're here for transportation, logistics, and transportation, logistics, and distribution. So our objective is to help bridge the gap between the ISDs, the institutions of higher education, and the workforce, making sure that we're collaborating along the way. Because right now, when Mr. Martinez was presenting to you all the changes that are coming through TEA, it's also coming from the federal and the state government. What they want to see is that we're not working in isolation. They don't want to see that we're hosting a meeting and just as an organization, we're making decisions. They want to make sure that if we're making a decision, it's because we're talking to the workforce, that they're giving us the feedback, that we're talking to the college or university, and they're letting us know what needs our students have, what certifications would work. They don't want it just to come from us. And I guess even when I was in the classroom, I always would ask feedback from the students because I was like, I can have a lesson plan and I can think it's the best thing since sliced bread. And you might say, ma'am, it was a bomb. No. I have to start from scratch, right? So that's what they want. They want to make sure that even though something might be working as we're evolving with our economy, that we're evolving with it as well. So that when our students graduate, whether it's at our high schools, our colleges, or universities, there is a clear path for them to have employment. They don't want to see that students are graduating and either they're not getting employed or they're not getting employed based on the certification and background that they're getting, because they're seeing that there's a big disconnect. And you'll see right now with the data. The support, like I said, we're here to support you all and anything that you need. That is coming from our executive director, Dr. Daniel King. I know a lot of you might have known of Region One, but for a long time we were known as a curriculum and instruction people. And now, ever since we have Dr. King, he really wants us to evolve in the service that we provide. So if y'all need any help, whether it's with workforce, whether it's a partnerships with the IHEs, reach out to us. We also have a Lightcast. So if any of y'all are submitting grants, we have access like the workforce does in the state. So any data that you need for any industry, we have access to it and it's at no cost. So just let us know and we can give you that data right away. And also the infrastructure, like Mr. Solis was talking about, making sure that we have something established and healthy to pass on our students. That's just our tri-agency workforce. Now, the one thing that I'm going to talk about, this one, I just emailed, I believe, to our CT directors last week because it just opened. The state is now allowing us to have an applied science pathway program. Don't look at the science one. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, people are going to think we're talking like curriculum, but it's not. The purpose of this program is to enable students grades 11th and 12th to complete a non-duplicative sequence of courses leading to either a high school diploma, a level 1 or level 2 certificate like the ones that Mr. Solis was mentioning, or a credential value recognized by the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. Those applications just opened last week. There is a webinar on February 18th in case you want to log in. I put the QR code if you want to get more information. The ones that I put here on the bottom, the diesel heavy equipment, transportation, distribution, logistics, automotive technology, those are just a few. There's a longer list. I just didn't want to put it all on the screen and bore you all with that. But this is an opportunity for your school district if they're interested in implementing it. This just came out of House Bill 20 from this last session. Remember, in our sessions for the state of Texas, we meet every other year. So this is a non-legislative year. Next January, we'll have another session. So don't be worried about, is there any House bills coming on, Senate bills? None of that for the state of Texas until next January, January 2027. So like I said, the application just opened January 15th. It'll close on May 15th. So this is, I told Dr. Gonzalez, this was perfect that we met, that y'all are going to meet today with our IHE partners and with the other ISDs to see if this is something that you are interested in doing at your school district, right, in collaboration. Anybody else? And I'll be sending this out so that way you all have all this information as well. Mr. Martinez talked about this a little bit, the IBCs. These are just some of the ones that applied for what we're talking today, and I mean, there's more on there. I put the QR code in case you want the extensive list, which is over 10 pages. And like he said earlier, these are the industry-based certifications. Now, these are important that we get feedback. The governor has really tasked us with saying, we need to know what the workforce is really needing when it comes to certifications. Because what they were noticing is that there was a lot of IBCs that the state was offering, but workforce was like, we don't need those, or they're outdated, or there's a newer version of it, or you need to move. So the governor's like, okay, we need to clean out this list, and we need you all to get me the feedback from the employers telling you which are the certifications that are actually valued when a student goes and applies. And I'll give you an example. When I went for Laredo ISD, had a CT advisory meeting, and when we're sitting there with the employers, one of the things that the TA is giving us feedback is that they're a little hesitant when it comes to CDL because most of the companies will hire till 21 and our students are getting it at 18. But we let them know, okay, one of our school districts, their focus is because we have a shortage of bus drivers that require a CDL, they're preparing the kids to help with the shortage of buses. And he's like, okay, that one, I understand. And then when I was there with LISD, the employer said, even though we might not hire them to drive out on the road with CDL, if there are diesel mechanic or automotive collision and there's an automobile that requires CDL in our shop and the student has a CDL, we're more likely to hire them over somebody else because they can help us move the vehicles within the shop. And see, as soon as they told me that, I called TA. I'm like, hey, we have another angle. And they're like, what's going on? I'm like, they just told me that it helps our students become more employable with a certification because even though they're not going to be out on the road, they're still going to be able to be more valuable than someone else applying because they can move the vehicles in there. So these are very important. There we go. Now, when it comes to federal update, I know there's a lot of changes happening. I always tell people, I'm not really into the news. I'm not really into the social media. I'm about policy. What is the policy, like the written policy that's happening? What does it say? What's actually going on? Not, and I always tell people, when you're looking at the news, see it as reality TV. Because a lot of what you see and how they're acting is not how they're acting when they're having meetings and ironing out, what's the policy is actually going to be. So what's happening that's affecting us when it comes to career and technical education, the IHEs, ourselves, is that now we're moving from the Department of Education, they're moving our programs over the Department of Labor. Okay? They're not shortening our money. They're just moving the staff that oversaw our grants, like the JET grants and all that, they're moving them over to the Department of Labor. There's going to be no change in the funding. There's no change in the timing. All they're doing is they're just simply moving staff from one department to another. That's it. But if you see on the news, you'd probably be like, oh my gosh, it's closing. Where's our money? There's just a transition that's happening right now over to Department of Labor. As you all know or might not know, we're still possible government shutdown if they don't come to an agreement by January 30th. There was an extension because they wanted to make sure that in the holidays, everything was like smooth sailing. People were out there spending. The economy is like boosting up. But they have until actually next week, January 30th, to come to an agreement so we do not have a government shutdown. I could tell you in the ones that have to do with us, whether it's labor or education, those have been ironed out after this week. We're just waiting for the formal vote. That's why I tell you all I'm all about policy, not the news. I'm more like, okay, what's really, really going on? I am happy to tell you all that in the final negotiations, the funding level for our programs have remained the same. There was no cuts. And some of the programs that were in conversations about possibly cutting have been brought back to life. Okay, we're just waiting for the formal vote, but because it's already been ironed out by both parties, more than likely it's going to be signed, and we're just going to be waiting for the president to sign off on that. Okay, so this is just a federal update because, like I said, I don't want anybody to get nervous with what they're hearing. It's just like what is really going on. Now here, it's starting this week. Employees that are in the Department of Education division are going to move over to the Department of Labor to start transitioning the program officially. Now, the employees will go to the Department of Labor's Grant Solutions and Payment Management System. That's why I'm letting you all know The money that you're getting for your grants is going to smooth out. That's why they're making the transition this week. And on the bottom, I'm just telling y'all, kind of summarizing what's actually happening. Labor is going to handle our grant competitions, monitor the visits, the fund drawdowns, and similar tasks. This one's important if any of y'all have any grants, whether it's state, federal, local, make sure that you're drawing down your funds. They're really looking into that. They're letting us know if we're not drawing down the money that we have, they're going to cut it for next year, saying it doesn't seem like we need it. So if you're trying to be conservative with your money, do not be. You need to be drawing down because they're looking at that. And if we're not using it, they're going to give it to somebody else that might need it. Okay. This is not the time to be conservative with the funds. The other one is in terms of education, they're going to retain the core responsibilities, including setting the priorities, issuing the notices, ensuring accountability, and managing the budget. The department will also issue annual grant awards, although partner agencies like the labor can make new awards under delegated authority. So that one, we're just waiting for what the president's going to decide. But so far, like I said, the budget, we're good with our money. The move means our money's going to get here when it needs to be. There's going to be no change to the dates. I would just urge you, please make sure that you're drawing down on your funds. Because both the TEA and Department of Education, now Department of Labor are really looking into that. We need to make sure that we are spending the money that we're getting. Now this one is just a reminder. As part of tri-agency, we look at the data that's going on. We see what the state is saying that we're missing. And even though transportation, logistics, and distribution also has auto collision and automotive, because we saw that both districts and actually even the rules do have that component, we did see that there was a shortage when it comes to like the diesel mechanic and the logisticians and even the CDL. And when we saw that, we're like, okay, we're going to submit a grant for this to the state. We're hoping to hear on it soon. It's looking really good. We hope that we get it. And in this one, we have included Laredo ISD, United ISD, and Websy ISD. And because they have an Amistad program, it would also have Jim Hog ISD. Now in this one, we would align, like I said, with the bus and truck mechanics and diesel engine specialists and the logisticians like what we have with Laredo College. Any questions on this one? Like I said, we're going to continue to do grants. This is the first one that we're doing with the data that we've been receiving, because what the governor was telling us was like, how it's possible that you are like the #1 inland port, but we're not seeing the students getting into that career cluster at the rate to fill the jobs that are coming. And when he told us that, we're like, okay, we need to have conversations, submit grants. We'll make sure that we're moving in the direction that you want to see if that's where the workforce is saying we need to go. But if you all have any other ideas for your districts or for your institutions of higher education, let us know and we can partner to see if there's other grants that we can submit as well. Because we're also looking at private grants. Like we want to make sure, I've always told people, and you all will see this, when we have like that new House bill that I showed you, a lot of times it's a new regulation, but there's no funding tied to it. And I always tell people, always look at the money, because even though there's a new implementation, new requirement, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's money tied for us to implement it, right, with the resources. So that's why we're trying to find many avenues to where we can get funding to help you guys to do those implementations. Now, this is the data that we have for our region and that the TEA is looking at. The educational attainment lag, we're behind at the national average. Our color is the blue, the national average is the gray. So as you see in the first one for bachelor's degree, we're about 6.6% gap with the national average. We're showing that only like 14.9% are getting a bachelor's degree compared to the national level, 21.5. Okay. And it's important for us to see this because, like, yes, not everybody might have a path of going to get, a bachelor's and associates, but we still want to make sure that we give them all the resources, all the support. So if that's what they want to do, that they're successful at it. Because what we're seeing, even us through Region 1, through Gear Up, when Gear Up is not present, we're noticing that there's a lot that graduate high school. They do go to a community college or institution of higher ed at the university, but they don't continue on. They might go for a semester or 1 year, but there's no completion. And that's where the state is saying, we don't just want you to tell us that they're enrolled. We want to see that they're actually having either a certificate or diploma to state that they finished it off. Now they're looking at more data. They're not just looking at the year after graduation. They're monitoring our students 6 years after the fact. They want to know, did they get a degree? Did they enter the workforce? And that's how they're going to measure our success. If you look at the associate's degree, we're at 7.4. We're not too far off with the national average of 8.8. But the one that is alarming is the bachelor's degree. That's where we need to really push for our students. And our also when we have meetings like this that we give out information and the community knows all the great programs that are here in Laredo. Because a lot of the times when I speak to people, they'll and students will be like, "Oh, ma'am, I'm gonna go to, I don't know, TAMU because I want to be an educator and they have a good program." I'm like, "You know that TAMU has one too, right?" And they're like, "But it's all about awareness." Or if they want to do something like automotive, I'm like, "You know, we have a good program at LC, or even our nursing program that's top in the state." And you're telling me that you want to go all the way to San Marcos to do nursing when you have one of the best programs right here in your backyard. But that's why it's important of bringing that awareness to our community to know there's great things happening here. I will let you all know. I didn't put it on here because they still haven't ironed out how they're going to measure this. But just so you all know, when it for our IHEs as well and our ISDs, when we're talking with the students, now in order to get financial aid, the federal government is going to look at every institution that receives financial aid and see, are you graduating students and are they making more than someone with a high school degree? They're going to measure that. And it's not something new. The ones that are currently doing that are like TSTC, Texas State Technical College. They receive funding till their students graduate and are employed. Then the state releases the funding. Well, now the Department of Education through FAFSA, they want to do something similar. They want to make sure if we're going to release financial aid to your institution, you need to show us that the students are matriculating and that they're entering the workforce and that they're making what they say as a high wage job. They're like, we don't want them just to, for a long time we've had, and we know people, we might be ourselves, we studied for something, but are we in the profession that we studied for? And that's a pattern that the feds have been seeing. Yes, there's people that are graduating and we're paying their financial aid, but are they matriculating into the workforce with that bachelor's, that associate's, that certification? And if there's not, there needs to be a conversation. They're like, because we can't just be giving money out and we don't see a result in the long run. Am I thinking with the end in mind? Here's our regional educational attainment. This is for Webb, Zapata, and Jim Hogg. This is our data. In our region, less than ninth grade, 14.5% of the population. Ninth grade through 12th, that means that they were in high school, but they didn't get the high school diploma, 15.1. High school diploma, 22. Some college, that means the ones I was talking about earlier, they went first semester, maybe 1 year, but they did not graduate. An associate's degree, bachelor's, and then graduate degree or higher, 6.3%. Now these, even if your program is not, let's say for a bachelor's or higher, we still need to know these numbers to see how can we help our community move up. That's what the state and federal government has been really pushing for us to do, is that they're like, we need to see a movement up. We don't want people to be stagnant. We don't want someone, they're like, yes, we understand that we're always going to start at an intro job, but we want to see that they're growing professionally, whether they're getting another certification, whether they're going back to school, whether they're continuing. They're like, we need to see that there's a growth on there. Any questions on this so far? Now this one, if we examine the alignment of our local education pipeline that we have here in Laredo, we have 22 relevant training programs that they're noticing for our 3 counties. We have 2,100 completions in 2024, this past year. And the top schools here, as we can see, Laredo College, the number of students for this year, and then TAMU. Now, if you look down here, the top 5 regional programs by 2024 completers, which was last year, one was general studies. I will tell you this, the other thing with financial aid and why we were talking, Mr. Martinez spoke earlier, when we're talking about CT completers, not only do they want to see it in the high schools, but they no longer want students to enroll at an institution and be undecided. They don't want them to be undecided when they enter high school. They don't want them to be undecided when they go to a college or university, because that'll affect their financial aid. If somebody enrolls moving forward into an institution of higher education and they're undecided or undeclared, that can affect them receiving financial aid. Because the feds are saying, we can't give you money, and then you're gambling to see, well, what do I want to study? They're like, we're going to give you money if you know what you're doing and that this is going to, be an investment in the long term. They're going to be very intentional on the money. Like I told people, they're not cutting our money. They're just going to be very intentional on how we're going to be receiving it. Now we have to show them where the results are with the money that they're giving us. The second ranked program is Business Administration and Management, General. Third one, Psychology. Fourth, Homeland Security. And the fifth one is Criminal Justice and Law Enforcement. And then we saw at the top how they were saying about general studies. That'll kind of throw us off with the data because when you say general, they could have been in one of our programs, but because the students are not specific, the numbers won't come out there. And a question just for us to like reflect on, is the current educational output aligned with the skill demand of the region's priority economic engine? And it just so happens that the grant that we submitted was the word engine, if y'all saw earlier, and we were being very intentional because we were answering that question to the governor. We currently were not being very intentional with making sure that students are in these kind of programs because that's where the growth is showing for our 3 counties. More so for Webb County since we have the ports. And as you all know, we're going to get a new bridge. Right? The land has been donated. I think what we're behind is the president of the U.S. Approved the bridge right before Biden finished his administration. And because we took so long, the Mexican site expired. So now they have to start the whole process again to go to the president's office. So that's what's holding us back from that bridge being built. The land is there. The quotes were in for the construction. It's now that we have to wait for our counterparts on there. And then for the logistics sector, just so you all know, we have 1,425 annual job openings. That is a large part. That's why the governor tasked us. I need y'all to really focus on this industry because we're not having the output to fill these jobs from the students in those 3 counties. Now, this region is a national hotspot for transportation and logistics. Like Mr. Solis showed y'all with the video, you saw the numbers. Our job concentration in this region is 11,219 compared to the national average is 4,400. So you can see why there's a demand and why we're here today, because we need to make sure that we're partnering together, talking with the workforce, our institutions of higher education to make sure that we're moving the needle with our students enrolling in these programs. And like I said, this program might be for all students, but we need to bring awareness and we need to tell students, if you enter this kind of career cluster, the likelihood of you getting a job is very high because there's so many openings every single year for this industry. And that's because, like I said, our 4th bridge is not open and operational. Now our sector growth, like I said, with the 3 counties is projected to outpace, like you saw on the other one, at the national level. Our region, we're 14.3 above the national average. And as you can see, our top employing industries, general freight trucking, freight transportation and arrangement, and warehouse and storage. Like I said, all this data we have access to. So if you all ever need it for a presentation, for a grant submission, let us know. And at no cost, like I said, we're here to serve you all. This is just our workforce data. This one, it'll go more break on the job titles, the unique postings that we have in our area. On the middle one, it's most jobs are found in general freight trucking industry. And then at the top, you have the occupation. Heavy and truck drivers, that's why we had it in our grant. Industry, truck and tractor operations, logisticians, storage and distribution managers. But just like if you all ever come to the speeches that LC has, like Mr. Solis offered earlier, make sure you all come. The information is really good. When they had Dr. Covarrubios from TAMIU come and speak, the information was great. Like, he's the one that's doing national research. People come to him. And like I said, that's why I always tell people, there's great people in our area. There's great programs here. People just locally need to know what they are. I think we undervalue, I guess because we're here, we take it for granted. But let me tell you, they know our Laredo area because of our professors, because of the programs that we have. Any questions here for the workforce? Now this one, we're going to move to our break because then we're going to have, like I said, the presentations is more the informal, giving you all the data, because I always tell people when we meet, and especially when we meet with the state and y'all are doing grants, please remember data, data, data. You want to convince the state, you want to convince legislators to give you money, it's all about the data. You don't have the data, the numbers, they will always tell me impact how many students, impact how many school districts, impacts how many employers, boom, you'll get the money. But you need to have that information. You want to convince them for something, the data is so important. So that's why we start with the data portion of our meeting. But now we're going to transition, we're going to have a break. After that, we're going to have the opportunity for y'all to network. Because the most important thing that TEA has for our CT advisories like this today is that you all get a chance to talk to one another as educators. You get to talk to workforce, and then you get an opportunity to talk to the IHEs in our area. That's why we have LC here today, TAMU, we have workforce, we have some of our employers here present as well that you all get to talk to for a good length of time before we go to lunch. So I'll let y'all for a 10-minute break.
Okay, good morning. My name is Eric Montalvo. Some of y'all might have seen me at the tri-agency presentations. These last two, I presented on RPEP. I started with the region September 2nd. I was hired as the RPEP coordinator for Jim Hogg and Webb, where we're providing smaller school districts the opportunity to take courses at different campuses. We travel about 15 miles either way to provide them with those services. I've also been now I'm part of the CTE team, so I'll be around. I'm in charge of LISD, UISD, and Zapata ISD. So if y'all have any questions or you need to reach out to me, or you see me around, you have a question, don't be afraid or to hesitate to talk to me, and we'll get you the answers that you need. Collaboration for our students is what it's all about. So right now is one of the portions that I think is really powerful because we're going to have time for networking. And it's when you have those networking opportunities and you talk to the industry partners, the business partners, the IHEs, and to each other is when you really solve a lot of issues. Y'all have the same hiccups, the same situations going on. And when you sit together as great minds is when you get to iron out all of those wrinkles that are happening within your associations. So right now we have the different table tents set up. We have STI, we have Laredo College diesel program, we have Laredo College. We're going to have the workforce solutions. We have TAMU. So all the industry partners and IHE partners are sitting at their tables. So before I start though, this is, I'm going to throw this out there. There's another industry partner that I just contacted. He has a dealership here in Laredo, but he has two in Hebron. He is from Hebronville. And he had told me that with our automotive program that we started with RPEP between Jim Hogg and Webb, that if we ever needed junk vehicles that have been water damaged and they cannot be sold, that he could get us some for the automotive program to tinker with for the kids. So if any of you guys are interested in getting a vehicle, reach out to me and I'll let him know, and he'll work on getting a vehicle for the program, and that way you guys have a vehicle to work on. And it's for the benefit of the kids to have those vehicles, and you're not going to mess them up, right? They're already damaged. So it's like working with a website. You click on whatever you want, you're not going to break it. So if you're interested in that, please let me know, and I'll get with Mr. Escamilla, and I'll get you in contact with him so that we can get those vehicles to you guys. Right now, I'd ask for everybody to please join a table that has a table tent. If you are the industry partner, the IHE leader, I ask that you please sit at the head of the table so that you could talk to the individuals that are coming to visit your tables. The way this is going to work is when we start the timer, we're going to have between 3 to 4 minutes for the industry partner, IHE, to introduce yourselves. Tell them about yourself, what you do, what is your involvement in transportation logistics, and then we'll have the rest of the time for the individuals sitting at the table to ask questions, to talk, to discuss, to network, to brainstorm ideas, maybe problems that arise and we need help with resolution. Okay, it's informal communication to broaden ourselves, right? So I will give you a 2-minute warning so you can kind of wrap up conversations, hit on key points that you want to hit on. I'll give you a 30-second warning. That way you know that it's about time to rotate, and then we'll have 30 seconds to rotate. It's not a very big room, so we should be able to shuffle across the room very quickly, okay? So right now I've asked that everybody please go to a table and sit with an industry partner, and that way we can start the discussions. Once everybody's at a table, some tables might not have as many people at certain times, but everybody is going to rotate through every single table. We have Laredo College Diesel Program and Laredo College CDL. We have TAMU School of Business, Workforce Solutions, Victoria, Broker. Once everybody's at a table, we'll go ahead and start the communication timing.